combinación que tiene la chamaquita y ese floater, ese floater. Tú eres mami, que si tú quieres nos volamos pa' Miami. Yo solo pa' ti, que todos los 15 nos gastamos esa money. Pegadita pa' que te dice. Solea cuando y no dice. Nada ni atrévete, préndete a lo TNT. Cara diablo la bandida, pero ese culo me da fe. Tú en la lista de espera y ella en el cel. Dice que le llegue, que se me vaya otra vez. Dale pa' vernos, tengo el cuarito de aquel día y todo menos. Vamos a perro negro pa' perreármela bien bueno. Y hacemos en la casa grosería, de noche y de día todos los senos. Tú eres mami, que si tú quieres nos volamos pa' Miami. Yo solo pa' ti, que todos los 15 nos gastamos esa money. Pegadita pa' que te dice. Solea cuando y no dice. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Qué vuelta, que de una vez uno quiero más. Las ganas hay, tú ponte suelta. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Qué vuelta, que de una vez uno quiero más. Las ganas hay, tú ponte suelta. Tú dime mami, que si tú quieres nos volamos pa' Miami. Yo solo pa' ti, que todos los 15 nos gastamos esa money. Pegadita pa' que te dice. Baila mujer, solea cuando y no dice.
in line with the stars, I'm in sync with the earth. 10 toes deep, flower child from the turf. I never switch sides, like even when I die, I'm a ride for the squad. Let her ties in the hearse. I've been on a vibe, kinda hard to describe. I'm in between, I'm good and it's fine, but I'm tired of the grind. Then I come alive in the night to realize I'm in the middle of the time of my life. I'm never so packed for the stack, never lied on the rap. Got a bag from the way that I write it. Queen looking Tyson, do that ass survive, doing 80 to the house. Then I hit it to the sky, change haters on a tirade. Talking to the grip in the face, be still, let that hate stuff fade. We all want the same, we all want a meal in the safe. I wanna live like I'm trying to reach enlightenment. Trail spill from my lips, feel bent from the bib. Take a sip till I pass out. Try and get grit, but it don't make sense. Cause you can lose life on this fast route. Yeah, turn thoughts to a cash cow. I might flip that to the glass house. I don't need the accolades, I'm in love with the chase. I just wanna eat, save a spot at the
to head over now into this particular circuit before, of course, we take over to the Americas for that final stint. If Adrian Manduka now is on a push for this title to potentially battle it out with Karabot, he's left it with 4 rounds to go. 14 points difference, plenty of opportunities here. This might not be Karabot's all sealed, sudden delivered.
I think you're right in that one. There's still so much to kind of get into, but before we go potentially into an advert break, we're in collaboration with Hyundai, Intercomp, Monsters Energy, Brand Garage, Level Academy, and especially thank you so much to those to be making this this production by Velocity Esports Racing possible. We'll go into an ad break now, and then after that we'll get into qualifying ahead of round 5 of the ACER Malta GT3 Championship. Welcome back to the ACER Malta GT3 Championship. So the practice is just happening at the moment, but James, as we spoke about earlier, of course we did speak about what we expected, and you said it was going to be quite processionary. How do you think who do you think the drivers to look out for will be? Because there's going to be plenty actually who now move into qualifying right now.
Yeah, Karabot is going to be one we're going to keep a very firm eye on. Of course, as I said, it wasn't the best performance in terms of what we would expect from someone like him as a championship leader last time out at the Ricardo Tormo circuit. So it's a matter of whether he could bounce back from that performance, especially considering Adrian Manduca's, let's be honest, a particularly romping home to victory it was for the Ferrari 93. So that is going to be one to keep an eye out on as well. And as always, ever keep an eye out on the ever consistent man himself, Denzel Agia sees in the McLaren here tonight. Also always a pleasure as well to go down the list and see, of course, once again our weekly trip to Gabriel Quattramani in P4. He's currently in the pits at the moment, but once again the car's inspired livery draped over that Ferrari.
It is lovely seeing that livery on the grid. Shame the numbers doesn't match up, but I'm pretty sure we can move past that for sure. So moving into this qualifying session, already drivers are looking to find those limits around the circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya, a circuit that is known in the GT World Challenge World to be hosting the finale, which is going to be doing, which it did earlier this season. I believe it's going to be hosting next season, unless that's being swapped out for the brand new Portimao. So and that might have to be a little bit of a research mission for me during this qualifying session. But Adrian Manduca already making his way down towards turn number 5, just checking out some of the conditions that he had through Seat, and then in towards the left right handers of the corner before heading on towards turn 9 at Camps, which saw the scene of Heikki Kovalainen's scary accident back in 2008 for the Spanish Grand Prix. But and moving pretty well is that Ferrari, but it won't be until kind of the midpoint of qualifying where we get to see kind of the field strewn out just a little bit more, and we get a better idea of what the track looks like.
Same corner where Lewis Hamilton also went off and skyrocketed his way straight into the wall. I think it was in 2007, 2008. I can't remember. It was that generation of F1 car. Either way, had that horrible puncture, didn't it? Because the tyre rim was actually rubbing up against the car. Either way, this is the old layout we are following here, so it's not the long sweeping right-hander. We have got the chicane here tonight for this particular race, which obviously offers an extra set of challenges, because if you get that corner wrong, your exit out of that corner will be compromised all the way to turn number 1. So keeping a very firm eye on Adrian Manduca as he comes across the line. He will get going then with his lap as he chucks the car through then into the right-hander here as well. And you know, this is one of the more free-flowing circuits here. Ricardo Tormo similarly has that one, but of course with less experience for these drivers, it's all about whether people have managed to gather as much time as they can on the circuit. This one being a more internationally renowned circuit, I would expect the midfielders especially to be a little bit closer. I'm also keeping an eye out as well on D'Agostino here tonight, the Pro-Am driver, the number 720 Pro-Am driver here tonight. And of course, just a quick shout out as well to the only amateur driver here tonight as well, Ericsson down in P13, and he is one of 2 people racing in the BMW, of course the Lizard Racing Team car, and that's gorgeous green and purple livery that he shares with Dominic Zimmerman in the Lamborghini 9950 Lamborghini, who's currently up in P7.
Indeed. For new viewers who are potentially joining into the stream, if you do want to know who to keep an eye on throughout this qualifying session, you're probably looking at the top 3 there of Ryan Karabot, Adrian Manduca and Sean Cassar. Those are the top 3 in the championship. They're the 3 championship challengers. They were probably the ones you want to be keeping an eye out for during this whole entire qualifying session, and even the rest of the season. If you decide to join us, you can also find us everywhere on Velocity Esports Racing on all our socials, and you can also probably join our Discord through there if you want to get involved with some of these races. But you see there Ryan Karabot putting in a decent lap there. He put in a 43.0 last time around. That was just shy of his 42.992 which he has put on as his best lap time, but the Ferrari still seems pretty strong. But yeah, I expected that Ford Mustang to struggle a little bit. So, you know, Karabot may have to come second best in this one, but I don't think he'll want to take that line down. And look in the background as well, we've got his championship rival of Adrian Manduca. Remember, 14 points between these two, heading in towards this 5th round of the championship. And with 4 rounds down, 4 remaining, we've hit the halfway point of the season, and we're now just waiting for those final 4 rounds to wrap up a brilliant championship. And I think Ryan Karabot's, of course, moving away from Ferrari from season 1. In that Ford Mustang, I'm sure he'd been absolutely loving every second of driving that car. Of course, but with Adrian Manduca, he finished 2nd last season compared to Ryan Karabot's 4th, but Karabot also missed a race last season. So they both got the experience, they do have the know-how, and I do believe it's going to be a pretty close encounter all throughout the rest of the season. So those are definitely going to be the ones to keep an eye out for. We'll see what these two do as they are about to cross the line.
Nick Ice looking relatively strong as well, as we've got Karabot now diving into the pits. Nick Ice looking relatively decent as well, actually. He's in the other LRT Ford Mustang as well, so he's looking fairly sharp as well up in P5, and now just trying to get his bearings together. Now, this circuit, we would expect the front engine cars actually to do relatively decent here, especially because of that last chicane, so it doesn't surprise me that the Mustangs are looking relatively strong. Karabot behind the wheel always going to be strong, but Nick Ice up in P5 is no expectation. And I made that P6 actually, as I think it's Denzel Agius that's just gone up into P4 with a cracking effort himself, and D'Agostino up in P5 as well as a great effort from the McLaren. So it's all going to be about here, as I think it's just Martinelli who's just come across the line to go P7, Dominic Zimmerman in P8, as Nick Ice then reclaims his P5 spot in front of D'Agostino. It's looking like it's going to be, the power, the pure traction is probably where we're going to be seeing, the people particularly make the time. It's just a matter of if they can maintain that in race trim, especially when all the dirty air is being kicked out. So just following Sean Cassar, he's now just heading his way up the hill now, of course, in the Intercomp McLaren. Wants to keep that car as close and planted as he can without going over and get up on the sausage curbs and bottoming out. He'll now head through the right-hander and down what is, in Formula 1 terms at least, the DRS straight.
It is indeed. No DRS in these GT3 cars. I think the only time I saw DRS was the Bathurst Bathurst record lap in I think it was a custom-made Mercedes AMG driven by Jules Gounon, I think a couple of years ago, and that's when it kind of had DRS to use a good couple of times. But yeah, they wanted to try something with the DRS, but I like how GT3 is just pure racing. There's no kind of there's no push to pass, there's no DRS, there's no energy management, there's no attack mode like they have in Formula E. It's just pure car, driver, set up, go out there and do whatever you can. And this is kind of almost one of the pure forms of racing. Even even the World Endurance Championship, one of the highest ranked championships in the world, they're going with the hypercars. They're the hybrid, partly electric, partly petrol based. So yeah, this is really the ones that have remained and continued to really progress and not have any of those kind of to try and manage all throughout a GT3 race.
Karabot looking relatively strong on his outlap at the moment, as he's just trying to again set that precedent that, look, I am the championship leader for a reason here. I've not accidentally got myself in this position. I've had pace all the way throughout the season. It was just simply a little bit of a blip at the Ricardo Tormo, and you can't even describe it as a little blip, to be fair. He still scored relatively well. It's just that in his standards he'll want a little bit more. So what are we going to expect is the question from the Ford Mustang. Is he going to continue up up with that pressure? Is he going to continue trying to put the continued pressure on the likes of the Ferrari? Because, of course, the man in front of him himself is now started to find a little bit of form, has Adrian Manduca, and now it's all going to be about that exit throughout that corner and whether Manduca himself has got all of the time in the world to make sure that he stays, at least put himself in front of the likes of Ryan Carabot, who has now just gone fastest. But we'll see what Manduca has got under reins here as he comes across now the final corner. He'll chuck the car through this right-hander and he'll hope to the Lord that he's at least put at least some continued pressure on the likes of Ryan Carabot as he comes across the line right now. And there is no improvement by the looks of things for the man in P2, so he will stay where he is as Ryan Carabot now takes the lead in this qualifying session.
Yeah, super interesting because now we did just speak about how that Ford Mustang might have, not been one of the best cars out there. But if he's fast enough to go and take a pole position, then that will be a mega effort by him. Just speaking on Ryan Carabot, he had a really difficult end to Ricardo Tormo, and I think that he will come back with a vengeance on this one. He's the type of driver to take a result and say, no, I'm not backing down from this. There is no way I am just going to take this line down. He's had a bit of a chance to reset. He's had time to refresh his mind, take a bit of time to practice as well, and now he's going to be on the absolute charge to try and go after this pole position and what could potentially be a win. But he's only doing the first half of the job at this point.
I always said that the front engine cars would do particularly well at this particular circuit, just purely because of the nature of the corners. So it doesn't surprise me that the Ford Mustang has got that continued pace. Again, Nick Ice is looking sort of relatively strong himself as well, down in P5 as Carabot is just starting with his lap. Nick Ice also doing something similar. So I do think the Mustang should be relatively powerful around here tonight, and I think the BMWs should also be in a relatively decent position. But the issue for the BMs is that the Beamers is their power. They just don't seem to have, the much of the power in comparison to the likes of the Fords and the Ferraris and the McLarens. And the longer wheelbase will also be a little bit of a problem, especially over these particular corners, because of course more opportunity to bottom out over these corners if you've got more car, effectively, as he tucks it into the inside. Does Barvan, that's Robin Barvan in P12 to let what I believe to be that is Martinelli, actually, who's just now approaching the hairpin corner. He'll now complete the third sector as quickly as he possibly can. Will the Ferrari of Martinelli, who Daryl Martinelli actually in relatively decent form in the midfield at the moment as well, so there should be expected some decent-ish performance out of him here tonight. He's just now coming across the final couple of corners, of course, at the chicane. Here's your penultimate corner, and then that long sweeping right-hander very wide out of that corner. I'll be surprised if he keeps his lap as a result of that. Chucks the car through the right-hander, the final corner himself, and he'll come across the start-finishing line. Will there be any further improvement, I wonder? On this occasion, it looks like there was not. Well, there was a little bit, actually, just about 2/10 down on his personal best. So he's setting relatively close to his personal best, but no improvements as of yet, as we're now following Denzel Agius.
Yeah, indeed, Denzel Agius, we saw him last time in the Asphalt Kings Championship. I believe finished second in that one, so pretty much fighting away in his Lexus in that one. But he switched it out for a McLaren with the Project Aversio team. Currently sits fourth at the moment for Dens. Grabbed his first podium of the campaign, his second of his ACER Malta GT3 career. Down in towards the left-hander here. Really got to get that car rotated, but he's in decent form. Track temperature 25 degrees, so pretty moderate, if I do say so myself, for this one. And he looks to be heading off the track. I wonder if that's maybe a mistake, and I can't improve on this time around. Adrian Manduca not quite improving either. He's quite the way off of his best time in that Project Aversio caped Ferrari. Will he be able to maybe reclaim that pole position? Is he just saving it for the final minute of this qualifying session? Yellow flag there due to a car, I think, being stationary, and it is, I believe, James Smith there. He's just sitting all the way down in 11th 11th place, but Manduka will continue to try and find the rhythm here, find any ounce of advantage that he can get out of this Ferrari 296 GT3 Evo and really try and push it on forward. But James, do you think he can do it?
Potentially. It's all about that pressure that he's able to put on the other drivers around them as well, because of course in this qualifying session, it's not half of the job is obviously getting around the circuit as quickly as you possibly can. The other half is actually trying to put off your opponents as well. If you're setting significantly quicker lap times, that's the mindset ends up becoming a significant factor, especially at this particular circuit where overtaking is known to be a little bit more on the difficult side. So qualifying is going to be fairly critical here with just a little bit over 4 minutes to go in this session. Manduka is just coming across now the final corner. Is it going to be an improvement for the Ferrari man? He's looking to try and get somewhere near Karabot's lap time. He comes across the line right now and he sets himself a 1:42.840. It is his fastest lap so far, but it's still nowhere near the pace of Ryan Karabot at the moment, who is looking actually particularly strong. Hopefully we'll go on board with him in just a second. His fastest lap time, best lap time rather, a 1:42.810 as well. Is that exactly the same lap time actually Manduka has set? Let's just go back over. Sorry, can I get clarity on that one, please, Mr. Director? 42.810, 42.840. So about 300ths of a second separating the pair of them at the moment. So actually starting to get a little bit more on the intense side for pole here.
Yeah, you can see both of them really pushing hard now, seeing if they can just extend a bit here, extend a bit there, make that an advantage, try and iron out their disadvantages. So this is the type of drivers you want as a champion, and I'm sure that they will both be properly on the opportunities here, really trying to open the car up and open up these corners individually. Karabot really having to get that Mustang slowed down. It's not the nicest chicane to try and negotiate, and I think he's actually just setting a lap time up as he tries to go over that sausage curve and open up the corner as much as he possibly can, because he knows it is crunch time with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in this qualifying session at Barcelona.
Not long to go now. So it's all about making sure you get the clean lap times in here, following Ryan Karabot now. Chucks the car through the right-hander of turn 1, then this long sweeping the left-hander, and then right-hander of turns 2 and turn number 3. You'll want to try and keep the car as close to, as planted as you possibly can on that accelerating pedal. The loud pedal should be roaring, as you can hear, with the raw power unit of the American-made Ford Mustang. As he chucks the car through turn 4, he'll want to try and get it as close as he possibly can. Remember this infamous corner, George Russell, Max Verstappen this year. Maybe we're going to see more of that potentially at that corner here in the GT3 spec cars, as he now chucks his car through the left-hander, then up the hill the Ford Mustang will go. Now this is where it's going to be a bit more squeaky bum time here, I would expect here. Now Karabot has got to try and churn in a lap now that puts a little bit of distance between him and Manduka, force Manduka to go that little bit faster and potentially go a little bit overboard. May invite Kassar or potentially Nick Ice into the mix as well. Remember, look at Nick Ice now up to P4 as well in the Ford Mustang. He's looking particularly strong. Again, the Ford Mustang probably going to be very powerful around here, and it shows.
Yeah, you're right on that one. It's really showing in terms of its pace. Sean Kassar sitting in the pit lane will not be able to get another lap time in. Neither will Gabriel Quattromani or James Smith there in the Aston Martin down in 11th. So their times are done and dusted. It is just all about trying to get that final lap in. I do wonder who will have that final lap, because probably want to be coming through that middle sector about now if you're trying to set up for a lap. So we'll have to see about that. Linus Eriksson, I believe it is. Yes, Linus Eriksson into the pits, the last of the drivers. He's in that second BMW. One of our rookie drivers. What about Adrian Manduka? He crosses the line. Does a 1:42.840. So improves, I believe, on that time board. I think he matches it best, in fact, which is not ideal. Johan Borg says I can't improve. He will start 13th at best. When we now enter the last 15 seconds, this is going to be where it all comes down to these last couple of moments to get your lap time in. And is it going to be Karabot or in the Ford Mustang, or is it going to be the Ferrari out on top in this one?
Yeah, checkered flag now waving out here in Spain. So this is where everyone is now got to be at their absolute best. They've got to make sure the tyres are up to spec, that the fuel levels are low enough, that they're not carrying any unnecessary weight. Manduka going to be chucking the car through the left-hander here now then. So will the the Ferrari rather, do, its best endeavours rather to try and push to the absolute limit. He only needs to find, of course, those 200ths of a second to try and get anywhere near pole position here, and of course in doing so Karabot will be a bit shaken up going into the main race because of course he's the one not in form. Manduka has just found his form at the previous Spanish circuit in the Ricardo Tormo, so will he be able to replicate that one here at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya? Chuck the car through this right-hander. Remember the chicane now coming up on this particular layout, so he'll go right, he'll go left, and he will go right again. He'll try and mount that curb as much as he can without bottoming out. We'll see. Actually going for the wider line on this occasion. He'll have to bottom out over that particular sausage curb on the outside as he'll now power his way over to the start finishing line. 810 is what we're looking for. He'll come across the line right now and he goes to a 797, but it's nowhere near as fast enough as Ryan Karabot, who dives into the pit lane, and it looks like our championship leader has found the form to get himself back to pole position. That unless a midfielder suddenly comes out of nowhere. Here's Daryl Martinelli in that Ferrari. Will he be able to get himself anywhere near the front row, or will he be able to potentially beat himself up from P8? On this occasion he'll stay in P8. That looks like it's going to be all done and dusted for qualifying, and our championship leader has shown exactly what he's worth.
He has indeed. That's going to be absolutely fantastic for him. A really, really mighty qualifying session, but I don't think this is it. I don't think it's going to be a processionary as you think. I think there's going to be some tough battle strategies going to come into it. Once again, another big thank you to Hyundai, Intercomp, Monster Energy, Brand Garage, Level Academy, and the Specialist. We'll be back in just a moment before we go into the adverts, and then we'll hit the track for Barcelona's round 5. Here in the ACER Malta GT3 Championship.